Hello there, everyone. Today's going to be like a slight butcher's analysis, and what it's going to do is going to understand how you need to work with your party, how to work against enemy parties, identifying your strengths, their weaknesses, and kind of how a progression of the battle can go, and the few key decisions you need to think about. Alright, so first let's talk about my party, just real quick, strengths, weaknesses. My party has pretty good sustained damage. What I mean by that is eventually the Abomination and Crusader and Jester will actually do a fair chunk of damage, but it's nothing going to be like mark compositions such as my enemy has, where you're going to mark and then do like a 40 crit. Probably not going to happen, but you can get some decent damage with actually rage on a crit. So the damage can be anywhere between medium to honestly pretty high. Now, another great strength is I have multiple heals and a lot of stuns actually, which can really jam up enemy compositions, as you're going to see in the video here. Finally, I have Battle Ballad and Finale, which are just pretty good to have in general. This composition's really weak to DOT comps, so if someone has like a Flagellant, Houndmaster, and just a bunch of DOTs, even though I have AoE heals, I'll never actually keep that HP back, and I may also struggle to kill those individuals quick enough. Thus, that's a weakness, and also probably comes with the Man-at-Arms if they decide to bellow spam, which I know stinks, but it is a possibility people do to it. This comp's not great against this. Now, the other comp I'm facing is probably one of the stronger, if not in like top 3 best generic comps, I like to call it. And what I mean by generic comp is if you don't know what you're facing, it's pretty reliable, because you do have the Arbalest for Man-at-Arms, you do have mark comps for obviously stress and those DOTs. So very good there. You got to stun the Crusader, you got Jester with Finale, obviously extremely reliable Death Store chances with the Bounty Hunter. Now, I do want to address a couple of what I do believe are weaknesses with this comp. I believe it can get jammed up through multiple stuns and heals, and also, I believe the Bounty Hunter and Jester are the weakest points in this composition based on their HP, and also their low dodge on the Bounty Hunter. Now, the Jester, you're definitely going to want a Jester to counter if you do run into this strat, because 40 dodge is pretty easy actually, so if you don't have a lot of accuracy, you might be solely focusing on the Bounty Hunter. But let's get this fight started. It's my turn first, so we're going to naturally Battle Ballad. Try to just ensure we get higher accuracies, because they're also getting 15 dodge, which means that Jester right there, I believe, should have probably 55 dodge. Now, we're going to talk about this first decision. It's probably the best decision you can do. Usually starting out with a stun, taking away an action economy is huge. I'm going to show you how to kind of counter that. Now, I could stun back, but there's no point. He has an Arbalest. So you actually just pick the stunned individual. He does have finish him on the Bounty Hunter. So instead of allowing him to just purely focus down one person, we're just going to pick the stunned individual. Now he's kind of saying there, crap, do I come hither, do I Dirk Stab, or do I Battle Ballad? And you can kind of see they're initially like thrown off. Now he's going to mark for death. The reason why he didn't do come hither is because obviously it would pull him to first position. He can't function off the mark then. And now what I'm going to start doing right here, and if I get behind, I'm going to pause the video, but I'm going to start stunning everyone. You go, why? There's an Arbalest. Exactly. The Arbalest is the key to the mark comp. If you can make the Arbalest literally do anything except fire her arrow, this composition slowly grinds to a halt. Now, this is the decision I'm talking about. Yes, you can go offensive. You can knock my Jester to Death Store. Though actually, there's I think a 20 to 25% chance to miss. So if you get pseudo unlucky and you miss, not only have you missed your mark, you now have 2 stunned individuals. So that's actually a pretty high risk play. Or you take the 100% play and allow your Crusader and Jester to have turns. So he is going to eliminate Flare, which I believe in this situation is the best case. It had the highest chance to succeed and also allows his party to do what he wants to do. Now I'm going to pick the Abomination here. We need to get the Jester out of this position, but we can't also rely on any stuns. Now with all the extra accuracy, I felt pretty good about that chance to hit, and also obviously moving him to the back, he can now only Dirk Stab. Now we can expect our opponent to stun our Crusader, which they will, because you obviously don't want that Crusader going and doing either a Zealous or a stun the Bounty Hunter. Now, within the third position, we can actually take out the individual who can cancel stuns. So essentially, I have stopped another turn of a strong mark comp going off. So now he has a Dirk Stab or finish him. So he's going to come hither on the Vessel, which is okay. And now, we're going to talk about this real quick. Was that 20% chance super needed? And in a way, if we look long term, I believe that resist was actually very good, I believe, for me. Now, it wouldn't have ruined my comp too massively, but what it would have done is it would have forced me to maybe pick my Crusader earlier rather than later, because I think I would have had to eventually probably Dirk Stab, and my Crusader would be in the back further. So by actually failing that move, I think that was a big choice, and we'll see what that does later in the game. Now, I do decide to harvest here because it wasn't the highest bleed resistance, but it does resist both. So, a little bit of shame I can't get some DOT going there, but it's not the end of the world. And once again, he's going to focus him, and he is going to knock him to Death's Door. Now, the good thing is I already stunned up the Arbalest, so now I can actually pick the Abomination next turn if I want to heal, or I can pick the Vestal. And the reason why I'm actually going to pick the Vestal here is it's a pretty good reliable heal, and obviously once you get to those single target heals, they can get pretty big. Now we're going to talk about the obvious elephant in the room. The crit is fortunate. However, once you pick those single target heals, you do get an okay chance to get critical strikes. But even if I didn't, the amount of heals I got, there would be really no one, because usually you can get about 14 to 15. No one on their side, unless they get a crit's really going to go through that in one attack. Now what the crit does allow me to do is potentially tank 2 to 3 hits. So that's actually a pretty big deal there once again. Now once again, he's either going to stun the bomb, exactly. So like I said, 7 damage, I would have had 7 HP. Now the good thing about that is that theoretically if the Bounty Hunter was to go, he probably wouldn't get through all the HP I have now. But we're going to stump the Bounty Hunter because once again, we're going to make sure the Arbalest has to make a bad decision. He's going to Dirk Stab. Obviously, this comp is to focus one person and get rid of him. Now, I do have my Jester left, and what I wanted to start doing was getting DOTs going. Because could you imagine if I got 4 DOT, he'd be at Death's Door? Sadly, I don't get it. Now, the Arbalest has a decision. They can either shoot my Jester, or he can pick the Bounty Hunter. It doesn't really matter. Or he can actually heal. So this is a pretty big decision once again. So what is he going to do? He can shoot my Vestal. He can shoot my Jester. But the thing I think he kind of messed up here, this individual, I think he has a trinket on where he gets more damage and accuracy if he goes last. And there was really no reason not to pick the Arbalest last. So I believe this was a tactical error on his end. So make sure you're always working with your trinkets in the best scenarios. So like I said, he could focus the Jester, the Vestal, or he could either give a heal to his Jester, but he's an Illuminating Flare, which like I said, I don't know if was the play. I know he wanted his Bounty Hunter to have a turn, but I don't think that's the play, and the reason for that is, now if he would have knocked me to 0 HP, which he could have done if I didn't get a crit heal, which is why the crit heal is probably a pretty big deal, which you could argue came from the fact that I didn't move. So you could argue that me not moving getting a crit heal essentially won me this fight, and I could slightly agree with that. I think what that allows me to do is to have a generically better fight than I would have, but I don't think it wins me the fight. Now there is one more thing that does break the camel's back in this video, so to say, but I think I probably would have had him anyways, because now I'm focusing the Crusader to heals, and eventually I'll get the Arbalest to heals as well. And once those two individuals start healing and not killing, that's essentially when we're going to start making our bread and butter. And by actually missing that, maybe we have a little bit of what you'll call RNG cancellation, because that doesn't knock him to Death's Door, so that actually allows him to pick the Bounty Hunter rather than having the Arbalest heal, right? So in a way, you know, I'm not saying our luck is completely the same, but he does get rather fortunate that he could do a Caltrops putting me on the pseudo defensive. But I'm not worried. And why am I not worried? Because the Arbalest can't shoot in the front. So I actually decide, why the heck would I not go offensive? And by going offensive, I save a healer last. And let me tell you why it's a huge deal. As if he does decide to shoot me with the shot and get a crit, I can easily give enough HP back through either a Divine Grace, which will give everyone 7 HP, or I can give one big heal. So we'll see what this guy does. I know what he does, but let's talk about his choice. Sniper shot. Now, once again, I have 40 dodge. I'd have to check the ability. I think it's like 110 to 115, so it's about a 70 to 75% chance to hit. Probably should have hit, but once again, he picked this character last, which means he's not getting that extra. I think it's 5 accuracy, so that 5 accuracy could have made a difference. So in a world where he would have hit this, here's how this fight would have changed, and it wouldn't have been too drastic. Well, let's just watch this. Once again, boom, another big hit, and this is what breaks his back. I still could have given an AoE heal. So let's talk about our next choices if I would have gotten hit by just a huge crit, right? I could have given like 7 HP, whatever. Now we're at 7 HP. So let's pretend these guys have 2 7s instead of a 28 now. So his turn's over, he picks that. Okay, done. I would still have 3 to 5 HP left on this guy or this guy if I was to pick them. So let's see what implications that would have. Well, he's still going to death's door. So what I'm going to do is still what I would have done. So, and dead. So even though, and that's what I'm trying to show, even though if I didn't get that luck of dodging an Arbalest shot, I would have still been able to do a death blow. And that's essentially what ruins this party, because now the bounty hunter has 4, sorry. And actually that bounty hunter was resisting bleeds like a boss. I think I only landed 1 out of 3 on him, so really he should have been probably statistically at 8 DOT per turn for a little bit there. Thus he would have actually have melted quicker. Now, once again, let's talk about some things that went my way and some things that went his way. Like I said, the rake miss on the Jester was actually pretty big because it allowed his Arbalest to have an attempt to shoot me. Now, obviously that attempt missed, which is a shame. However, it still allowed him that opportunity. Also, the bounty hunter resisting a couple of the bleeds is a big deal. The bounty hunter doesn't have the most HP. And let me check his HP real quick here in the video. See if I hover over him. I think it's like 38 yeah. So he has 38 HP. So could you imagine if maybe the past turn or two he took like an 8 DOT damage? He actually would have been death's doors as well. Now, why would that be so important if he was on death's door as well? Well, he has to either heal with the Crusader or remove the bleed of the Arbalest. And once again, if you're forcing the Arbalest into either illuminating flares or bandages, they're not working off the marks. At one point you saw I was marked on 2 characters, but it didn't matter. And the reason why it didn't matter is because I could make the bounty hunter either have to pull or focus somebody else through strong sustainable heals. And the Crusader the whole time really wants to keep stunning. And the reason why this comp is now dead in the water, essentially to say, is because the bounty hunter is going to be the only thing that holds this group together at this point. He's going to be marking for the Arbalest, and he's also going to be the one using Finish Him. So from this point on, it would have just been dazzling lights on the bounty hunter to just continuously stun him. And what that would have done is essentially have either made him work with the bounty hunter every other turn, or keep illuminating the flare. And he doesn't have a lot of damage because he doesn't have Collect Bounty. And the Crusader friend himself would either have to keep stunning or go to Zealous Accusation. And if you decide to go to Zealous Accusation, I would obviously probably untransform, have 3 stuns, 1 stun, 2 stun. Even if he flares, I got a 3rd stun in here on the Crusader once again. And then eventually I could Dirk Stab into Finale range, boom, Finale dead, and then these 2 characters cannot win a game. As good as they are, once these bodies disappear, Zealous Accusation into Rake, into reliable heals, this party would never win. So, did I have some very fortunate early on RNG? I did. The crit heal was probably the biggest thing, to be honest. I think the Vestal not moving, I think it was big because it led to the crit heal. But this party can work with a Vestal in 2nd position. So I don't know if it would have been the end of the world. It might have set up things differently. I couldn't have harvested maybe, but I believe a lot of people resisted the bleed anyways. So I'm not sure if Harvest was really like an MVP game that I needed the Jester to do. And I believe after that, I might have only stunned once. But Holy Lance, you actually have to watch out. It's a super strong ability. So if I would have Holy Lanced into like a 25 crit, you got to be careful. Because then I pseudo put you on the back foot again anyways. So I don't think the Vestal moving was the end of the world. He could have maybe gone more offensive, got my Abomination down. But if I would have knocked his bounty hunter to like 0 HP and then I got a Dirk Stab or Finale off, so what if you Finale my Abomination? It's a 3v3. You lost your bounty hunter, who is going to be your end game killer. The Jester's great for working off those low HP people to make it a 4v3 for your side. But if I can make it a 3v3 immediately, and your Jester Finale, thus they have essentially lower dodge, all the stress and stuff, I'm in the driver's seat because I still got my Finale, which means you have to watch out for your Crusader. So if I then focus your Crusader, or if I get your Arbalest low enough, boom, drop the hammer, it's a 3v2, and at that point, you're done. Jester after the Finale are not very good, and if it's just a Crusader Jester left, it's not going to work. Or if it's Arbalest Jester, definitely not going to work. So if you have to make an exchange with this composition, just in this video right here, take out the Bounty Hunter. This guy long game is going to be the one that guarantees kill shots. The Jester will, but they have so much lower dodge and they have so much lower health and they take so much stress damage that you'll kind of naturally kill them along the way. It's hard to explain, but even if you, like I said, you would have taken out my Abomination. If the Jester would have ever got to the front row for a Zealous Accusation, the amount of stress damage I could do and physical damage I could do would just be disgusting to that guy. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this helps you kind of think about through your battles, what you need to do, how you need to jam up your opponent. I'm just going to highlight the big decisions that happened in this video again. Let me just quickly get it. So this is first decision number 1. You could either have gone offensive, which I think was in this video the wrong choice. Because once again, we'll talk about it. He can go offensive, knock him down low, then I heal, and then I get 3 turns compared to his 2. Now, he could have shot him again, force another heal, and then I guess Death's Doored him again. So wait, yeah, shoot Death's Door, hit Death's Door. But at the end of the day, he would still have probably enough HP. And then I could easily have just like raged, raked, whatever. And then I could still Dirk Stab Harvest. So I would have gotten 2 turns of damage to their 2 turns of damage while still keeping this guy alive. And then at the end of the day, his Jester still sits there in the front position. And then I could easily have done what I did anyways, was use Rage, knock him back, not Rage Slam, knock him back. So actually his Jester would have got hit twice for the price of 1 action economy. So I don't think that's very good. I believe his Flare was good. And there's one more big choice here. The Come Hither was a pretty big deal. It didn't really have to make me adapt there, so that's unfortunate. And there's one more choice when the Jester was stunned near Death's Door that we need to talk about. So let's just go back right here. We'll just let it play a little bit. And like I said, once again, we'll talk about why this is such a big deal. And maybe if our opponent here could have made the battle last just a slight longer. Let me go 30 seconds ahead. Caltrops. Okay, yeah, we're getting there. So I don't mind when people go offensive. I think it's a good choice. But I think they should have thought a little harder about maybe what they were doing in that initial. Yeah, you get them to Death's Door, but I still have a strong healer left. And all I have to do is pick the Jester to knock your dude to Death's Door and also potentially try to apply some bleed. Once again, he resists. Boom, right there. But now your Jester has low HP. Now, the choice he could have done here was probably heal, but I don't know if at this point they were wondering, screw it, I can't really compete. Because I would have given a main heal. He would have been unstunned. And what you probably would have seen next turn was probably a Crusader on Crusader stun. I guess they could have shot, put me on the defensive, so maybe I could have done like a Zealous or a Rake. Yeah, I probably would have done a Zealous or a Rake to knock this guy to low HP. So he'd have 0 HP, he would have got hit. He would have had to done the Healing Spirit, then probably into Zealous, once again, low HP. And if I would have had, I probably would have stunned, actually. I probably would have picked a Vestal to stun. So who knows? I think that would have been the choice. I think that would have put me in a worse position, but he does decide to go offensive, and it just doesn't work. So think about that when you're doing stuff. Think about, what am I going to do to my opponent to make my opponent react? Usually in Butchers, it's better to go offensive to make your opponent start reacting. And that's what I did to this party the whole time. I tried my best to jam up this composition, and he always tried to reset his offense, and he just really couldn't. Thank you for watching.